Well, the biggest change are guest expectations and the need for personalization and personalized experiences. It's no longer just about offering a hotel to stay and have and explore the cities or for your work trip. It's about extending the remit of what you're doing and exploring the city and searching for experiences as well, whilst you're also on a work trip. So we have the new trends of leisure.
AI is the big topic of conversation. It's clear it's going to impact the hospitality industry. I feel like the tech infrastructure doesn't quite have the dots joined yet to make that fully part of our reality today, but it's certainly the piece where everyone needs to focus and future-proof themselves to succeed in the future.
And the biggest trends are really, I suppose, from international travel and the big, pre-COVID, it was always just business and leisure separation. And now everyone's using this term bleisure. But it's true, because particularly in our type of area and sector where we've got the apartments, a lot of people love to come and stay in the apartments. And actually they've got a combination, because they've got the space, they've got a combination of work. They can work and then they can have their family there and do some leisure, and they end up staying longer because it's not just in a hotel bedroom. So that's one big thing that we've seen, international coming in. One of the other biggest trends actually is the markets, particularly in London, Dubai, Edinburgh, going back to the pre-COVID trends. Whereas when we came out of COVID, everyone was traveling, everything was capturing up, so all of those trends of seasonality sort of got blurred into one. But now they are definitely the markets are returning back to the pre-COVID seasonality and trends you'd expect to see in each city. So,
for me, I think you could kind of bring it all together around operational efficiency. You know, we're being hit by increased costs all the time. You know, we've recovered out of the pandemic. Generally, as an industry with very strong rate growth, that's now started to slow up, and economic pressures everywhere, particularly to consumers. And then as an industry, we're about to be hit by enormous cost increases for labour. We're an industry that's dependent upon labour to provide service. So it's difficult to cut that labour force. So we're being faced with those cost increases, and we've therefore got to find ways to operate more efficiency.
I think for me, I've got kind of 5 trends, because there's obviously quite a few you could go on for a long time in terms of what we're seeing. But for me, the kind of 5 that I thought are influencing trends at the moment are so short-term rentals. I think they're growing. We've seen that in kind of Booking.com, the number of properties that they're starting to advertise, which is having an impact in terms of share on some of our properties as well within London. So I think that they're starting to have an influence on hotels. I think with, again, kind of coming back to London, the rise this year in the super luxury hotels, there's a lot of capacity coming into the market. Again, in terms of change to commercial strategy, it's probably more a watch out. Will that impact, say, my current guests who come back year on year, stay in the penthouse suites and the luxury suites? Are they going to want to try and just try them out to see what they're like? You can't really not mention social media in terms of influencers and trends, as much as you might want to ignore the influencers. But I think in terms of their growth and also just that kind of trip inspiration as well, particularly on the Chinese market, social media is really a big thing. Obviously, sustainability, it's a huge buzzword, has been for a few years. In terms of how that influences your commercial strategy, I think it's taken hold in the corporate market predominantly first, particularly around corporate RFPs. You need to be able to show your green credentials. Can you monetize that? I don't think you can really at the moment, because there's the risk of obviously being accused of greenwashing. Lastly, AI, you can't really not mention AI at the moment. But for me, I think AI comes, it's a power to the strategy rather than it should be, like I say, it should be powering the strategy rather than maybe changing it. It's about efficiency in data, understanding, you know, your market trends and actually what's happening, and using that to set the strategy or validate your strategy or pivot rather than maybe having it doing it for you. I think there's still that human element of, you know, AI will pick up on trends, but actually it doesn't know that a football match between West Ham and Arsenal is not going to drive the same demand as a football match between Manchester United and Arsenal, for example. So I think there's still a learning curve for it, but at the end of the day, there's, you know, the strategy still needs to be set by a person, and then AI, like I say, should be there to kind of validate it or correct where you're going.